Hello. Okay, so headstock, my drilling jig for the buffer stocks. Yeah, so I'd already marked the centre line and the crosshair for the centre of the buffer beam, or headstock as you want to call it for a wagon. I get my jig nice and square on there, tighten up the tool maker's clamp, and then we're going to go over to the pillar drill, drill these 4 holes through. One thing I need to point out to you though, with this wood being oak, when you plunge the drill through and lift it back out, the flutes of the drill will be all choked up with the wood you've drilled out basically, and before you go and bury it back through the wood again and split it on the back, you have to be very careful. So you need to stop the drill, clean the flutes out of your drill bit, and then go for your second drill. If you have to do it 4 times, or if you've got a load of holes all the same size, do that for each one, because all you're going to end up doing is splitting the back of the wood, because the drill's not being able to actually cut properly. And 9 times out of 10 with this oak as well, it's kind of soft. The sawdust is kind of soft and a bit greasy, so it chokes them up really easily. So when you go to plunge it again, it doesn't necessarily clean it off as it goes through. So I always check, make sure it's clean. If it's clean and you go for the second hole without stopping, that's fine. You know, if it throws it off the drill bit, that's fine, it's not a problem. But always double check before you go and plunge it through, because there's nothing worse than knackering your wood before you get started. So that's what we're going to do in a second. We'll get these drilled up, and then I'll show you what we do with the bolts. Here we are, all drilled, 4 bolts put in, and I've knocked the heads in at the back, so they've buried themselves in the wood a little bit, as you can see there. They're not fully flush yet. Yeah, I've left a little bit of room for them to go in, and what I've done is I've just kind of counter drilled it a little bit so that the head will go in. It's not squeezing the wood out or anything like that, so they're in there, they're not falling out or anything like that, so it's easier to reassemble and stuff. So end stanchions, if you was going to put some end stanchions in, or end pillars on, you'd have some of these on there. Okay, I do these as a laser cut, and what these are, these sit at the bottom like so, so you can put bolts through at the bottom there. Look, you can just see, bring it a bit closer, you can just see there, look, there's 2 bolt holes that you open up when you put your end pillar on. So your end pillars are about 40, I think about 40 something mil anyway, in here, so they go between your buffers and your actual hook and hook plate, they go in here. Now what I used for mine on previous wagons, I got some 12mm square pine from Wickes B&Q, somewhere like that, and then the top half of it, if you look at a wagon closely, the top half is kind of shaped in a bit, so you need to get a mini plane or whatever and just take that away and smooth it off. So the stanchion's square at the bottom, but then it tapers up, not tapers to nothing, okay, so don't make that mistake, but it tapers off to make it a bit thinner, so it's like 12mm at the bottom and it'll be like 6mm at the top. Only on one edge, you just need to taper it in a bit, and then this metal end strap goes on it. Sometimes the curvature doesn't start until about here, so what you need to do is obviously that needs to be bending in with it. What I tend to find is if I've got the bolt coming through from the inside to the outside and they've got the clearance holes in it, slide that on, and because this is really thin 1mm steel, when you put the nut on and the washer, it'll pull that up nice and tight anyway, and it'll curve it to what you need. So that's another little tip for you. So there we go, headstock there. I'm going to save it for the next one. I'm going to get the side tie rods through. We might do a live next week. I'm going to get the side tie rods through on there, and you're going to see this all start to pull together then as a wagon. I would say that I could then start pinning the actual wagon together, putting some dowels in and gluing it, but I can't yet because this wagon has got steps on the sides. I have to put a lot more thought into what I'm doing, so I can't rush it by putting the frames together. As much as it'll be good viewing to see the frames come together, if I rush it, and it's going to make a bad job, which I don't want to do. So I've got to put a lot more thought into the sides of it, what needs to go in, and especially for there's a V hanger that needs to go in, which is what the vacuum cylinder would be connected to. There'll be a main cross beam on one side and a vacuum cylinder sits on that, which obviously actuates the brakes. That needs to go in. I also need to have that cut. Luckily that won't be an issue once I've drawn it up on CAD or what I want. I did coincidentally, I nipped over to the Railway Museum on Sunday, last Sunday just gone, and had a bit of a sneaky look at some of their old Midland carriages that are up there. Now, I said about the lining and everything for this particular corpse wagon, and it's very traditional Midland lining on there and Midland colours. Now, the only image I had is a little 7mm O gauge kit that someone had made, and they've put it on the internet, and I've gone, oh, that's a nice wagon, I'll make it. What I didn't realise is how intricate that lining is. So when it comes to painting this wagon, that bit is going to make some viewing, that is for certain, and I need to brush up on my actual painting skills by the looks of it. There's a lot of gold leaf and stuff like that in it, so I don't think this has got the markings of the, Midland Railway Company on it or anything like that. I think it's just all lined out in the panels and stuff. So, but it was good to go up there and see what they've got going on. It give me some inspiration of what I need to do when the time comes for painting. So, all good. So thanks for watching. Remember to click subscribe. Tell all your friends that this is happening, because if it might inspire somebody to do it and have a crack themselves. It's not difficult. As I was chatting to someone on the internet, start off with some hand tools, a square, a pencil, a makeshift pillar drill if you can. If you can't, use a hand, just use a hand drill, but just make sure you're going through square. A mitre saw and a mitre jig, things like that. Just get started. If you've got any questions, give me a shout and I'll answer you as quickly as I can. Laser cut parts, every man and his dog's doing the laser cut WI now, so it's easy to get started. But yeah, thanks for watching. Click subscribe and don't forget to send the questions. See you next time.